Hey everybody, welcome to the Health Unmasked podcast. I'm your co-host Karl Pilz. With me is Dr. Eric Ginter, also known as Dr. G. Eric, how's it going, man?
Hey, Carl, how's it going, man? Good to
Not too
see you.
bad. Yeah, you too.
Yeah.
So today we're going to talk about why people really need to start getting their health under control now as opposed to waiting a year or two or three from now. What are the ramifications and why it's so urgent to start doing this like right now? So you had
Yeah.
some great ideas. Why don't you start off with it?
Yeah, I'm 52 years old, and literally like the day I turned 40 is when I started hurting, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is people kind of get to this point where they don't want to do anything until it gets kind of bad enough. It's
Yep.
kind of like let me just see, it's been a couple days, maybe it'll be better in a few days, or and then that cycle just kind of continues. And then, what's happening is most people are relying on stimulants for energy. They're sleeping poorly. They have a low sex drive. They experience strong food cravings, unstable moods, and then they get chronic pain. And over time, a body in this state is much more susceptible to diseases such as cancer and diabetes and heart disease and stroke, which coincidentally are the top illnesses in America, right?
Yeah, right.
So, we're here today to try to kind of encourage you. So if you're not feeling your best and you're having some of those symptoms, to get and take a look and break that cycle early on and have more of a health management process rather than an illness management process. Because once you get into the illness state, it takes longer to fix, it's harder to fix, it's more expensive.
Much more
And
expensive. Yeah, that's what I was going
yeah,
to say.
exactly. So it's just something that we would encourage you to start looking at now. So the interesting thing about Western medicine is there's this vicious health cycle, and a lot of times it starts with hurting a little bit more. And so you're starting on anti-inflammatories, and then when you take too many anti-inflammatories, you get ulcers, and then when you have ulcers, you start getting acid reflux, and then you get depression, and you get put on antidepressants, and when you're on the antidepressants, then you can't sleep well. And when you're not sleeping well, then you're put on a CPAP machine, right? It's like
Right.
this vicious cycle. Then you stop doing more of what you love, you eat more, the acid reflux continues, you gain more weight, you get depressed, you start that stuff. And then the lack of activity and the stimulation, your brain shrinks, Alzheimer's or Parkinson's sets in, your brain stops working, you fall, and you die.
Yeah, right.
And that's literally the process of what happens with most people.
Mm-hmm.
If
And
they don't,
go ahead. Go
I was
ahead.
going to say, if they don't break that cycle,
Yeah, right. So what's really interesting is like the older I get and the more I see my friends. Like I'm 45, so you cross that 40-year-old threshold that people talk about. I didn't feel it too much, but that's because I got into the nutrition thing kind of early in my 30s. And so I wasn't doing a lot of the things that people were doing. I already had gotten rid of, sugar and white carbs and a lot of the inflammatory stuff. So I didn't. So I'm not really seeing it as much as maybe some people, but a ton of people in my age bracket have severe knee problems or joint problems or back problems that are limiting their mobility. I mean, they can't play with their kids and things
yep,
like that. And I think what people need to start associating is that if you have knee pain and it lasts for more than a couple of weeks, it's probably not your knee. It's probably not a joint like a physical issue. It's probably inflammation that's being caused by something that you're doing to yourself that's now developing into a chronic condition.
yep.
So you need to start associating that with like if this knee pain doesn't or this ankle pain doesn't go away in a couple of weeks, then there's something else going on, and that definitely needs further investigation quickly.
Sure. And to add to that, like I used to work on a lot of knees, still do, but when people have the cartilage between their knees and they get an X-ray and it's closer to not necessarily bone on bone, but it's closer to bone on bone, they're being told like the cartilage is a shock absorber and you don't have the shock absorber anymore and you need a knee replacement.
Hmm.
The shock absorber of your knee is actually your quadricep and your hamstring.
Yeah,
It's
right.
not that little thin piece of cartilage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when people aren't moving enough and they're not exercising and they're not keeping their legs strong, they're going to get knee pain on top of the inflammation that they're already building.
I actually saw that firsthand because when I had my job when I was working for Siemens and they sent me traveling all over the country and to Europe a couple of times, and I was up at my heaviest weight, which was close to 230 or something like that. I decided to try to lose some weight, so I started going out for a couple of jogs. And when I was in high school and college, I would run, and the way that I ran, I would land on a fully extended knee. That was just the way that I ran.
Yeah.
And so that was the way when I started jogging. I was in my early 30s, probably 30 years old at this point. And I went for a jog, and I ran the way that I always do. And then all of a sudden, the back of my knee started really hurting.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is this? So I started digging into it, and I was like, oh, this is, I'm blanking on the name. What do you start calling
Baker cyst?
that?
A Baker cyst?
No, no, when you strain the tendons. Tendonitis. Sorry, tendonitis. So I'm like, oh, this is developing tendonitis because I'm running I'm landing on a fully extended knee. Then I was like, all right, well, what causes tendonitis? It's like, oh, you don't have the muscles in your hamstrings and in the back of your leg to basically support the weight that you're trying to put on your knee.
Exactly.
And that starts straining your tendons. And it's like, oh, this is a nutritional and it's an exercise. Like the only way to get this back is to feed yourself protein and do physical exercise, lift weights or whatever, to build that muscle on the back of your leg back. That's the only way to get rid of this tendonitis, these knee pains.
That's right.
But people are being told, yeah, it's just cartilage.
Yep.
So yeah, so what are what are like knee pain is something that a lot of people go through. What are some of the early like indicating symptoms that you think people should take a look at to start thinking, okay, this might not be just something acute. This might be something chronic that's developing.
Well, I mean, they're really common with a lot of people. I mean, energy is one, right? Not sleeping well is one. No libido is one. Food cravings, unstable moods, kind of either feeling lazy or kind of stagnant, discontent, even feelings of hopelessness. I'm having some anxiety, some depression, and then moving into more consistent and chronic pain.
Yep.
Those are the symptoms that many people over 40 years old have in one way or another.
Yeah, the sleep thing is interesting because I was going down that rabbit hole for several years, and I have on my website I have a free guide on how to use nutrition to get great sleep, because what people don't understand about sleep is if you're not getting good sleep, and some people you hear the phrase, "Oh, I can survive on 5 hours of sleep." It's like, yeah, you can survive, but you're not thriving on 5 hours of sleep. But if people
Yeah,
start looking,
you're not.
go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're not repairing and restoring your body if you're not sleeping well.
Yeah, right. Like when you look into it, if people were to like start digging into this, they'll see that in different phases of sleep, like you start off in light sleep, then you go into deep sleep, and then you go into REM sleep, and then come back up to deep sleep, up to
Right.
light sleep, back down, and you do this, go through all these phases of sleep. And in different phases of sleep, your body does different things. In one phase of sleep, your body physically repairs itself. All the micro tears that you've been doing from either exercise or climbing stairs or whatever, your body is physically repairing itself. In REM sleep, your immune system is fixing yourself. Your brain is converting short-term memories to long-term memories and things like that. So these different phases of sleep are super important for your body healing itself and making you smarter and able to remember stuff and build up your immune system. If you're not getting good sleep, if you're not doing the nutritional things to make sure that you are getting into these deeper phases of sleep, then your body starts degrading very fast. If you're not getting into deep sleep and your muscles aren't repairing itself, then you're going to fall into bodily degradation really, really fast.
Yeah,
So yeah, I
absolutely.
have a free guide that talks about how to feed yourself to get great sleep. It's basically, protein and fats and drop back on the, carbs, but it talks a lot. It talks more about everything involved. But the sleep thing is definitely a huge focus that if you're not getting good sleep and you haven't for 10 years, you really need to look at that seriously.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Agree.
And the lower energy thing that you were talking about, we're going to do a podcast. One of my favorite topics is talking about how neurotransmitters are made. A lot of people are taking antidepressants these days, SSRIs and things like that. And a lot of the doctors that prescribe these drugs, they'll tell patient will come in and say, "Hey, I'm depressed" or something like that, and they say, "Wait, why don't we try this antidepressant?" And if a patient asks, "What does it do?" "Oh, it makes your body make more serotonin." First off, that's a lie. It doesn't make more serotonin. I have another guy that talks. Well, we're going to do a podcast on this topic, but the production of these brain chemicals like adrenaline and serotonin and dopamine and all these things, these are the brain chemicals that make you feel confident and energetic and ready to take on the world. And if you constantly feel tired, then it's likely because you're low on these neurotransmitters. That's one of the issues.
Sure.
So
And
fixing your diet, while it's also going to fix your sleep, it's also going to fix your energy problems. I mean, it's all tied together.
yes, especially because most of those feel-good chemicals are made in the gut. And when people have ruined digestion, that's going to translate into the same thing.
Yeah, and everybody's so low on minerals that these minerals are needed to make a lot of these chemicals.
Yep.
So
And,
okay, so
and
why don't we talk about some of the things like what do you do to help people figure out what do they have? Like they have this knee condition or they have this, sleep or energy condition, and so they come to see somebody like you. Like what do you take them through to figure out what the issue actually is?
one of the greatest tests that just became available this year is called the MVX Plus test. And it's a blood test. If you think of it, you can think of it kind of like a health detective, and it peeks into your blood to spot trouble that could be brewing under the surface. It's an upgrade to the original the MVX test, which uses a fancy machine called the nuclear magnetic resonance.
Mhm.
But it measures 6 specific clues in your blood, and they give you inflammation markers, which is measured through something called glyc A. It also gives the marker for tiny HDL cholesterol particles because there's all different sizes of cholesterol particles, but these tiny HDL cholesterol particles are an indication of how well your immune system's being fed.
Mm-hmm.
And then these 3 branch chain amino acids, and the last one is citrate. These aren't your usual cholesterol or kind of sugar checks. They're deeper signs of how your body's handling stress, energy, and repair. So the plus part adds 2 new layers. It's one thing is called the inflammation vulnerability index, and the second is the metabolic malnutrition index. These zoom in on inflammation, which is kind of like your body's alarm system, that when they're stuck on high, they can wear you down. And the metabolic malnutrition index checks your metabolism to see if it's starving for the right fuel or even if you're eating enough fuel. But together, these pieces kind of get mashed into a single score, and that predicts how vulnerable you are to serious health crashes. So,
Interesting.
in short, it's kind of measuring how well your body's engine is running. It spots the clogs of inflammation or fuel leaks from metabolic hiccups without waiting for obvious symptoms to scream at you. So it's a test that really kind of lets you look under the hood and lets you know, hey, I'm doing really well, or I'm not doing well, and I kind of got to change my tune here because these scores are showing me that, either my metabolism is dropping, I'm not getting the right nutrition, or I've got too much inflammation in my body. And then you can start looking at, okay, how do we change these things? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
right.
it's really, really a cool test, and it's something that is going to help a lot of people that may not be feeling too terrible yet, but will give them an idea of exactly what's going on inside their body.
Interesting. So when years ago, before I went on a ketogenic diet for the first time, I went and got my blood markers, tested by, whatever general practitioner was down the road. I don't go to a regular doctor these days. I bring my family to you. But I went and had my blood markers drawn so that I could have the boilerplate, blood markers, cholesterol, triglycerides,
Yep.
hormones, all that stuff. But what I also knew is that those tests, the general tests that doctors can order you up and that are covered by insurance, typically don't tell you squat. They don't tell you much that's actionable. So I also went and I was a subscriber to some magazine that had a great section where you can order up different blood tests, and then you go down to LabCorp and give the blood, and then they send it into whoever it is that did the analysis. And that's when I started getting into, you can do the standard blood lipid profile, but then the step up was doing the NMR lipo profile, and the
Yep.
NMR is what you just said, the nuclear, what was it?
The nuclear magnetic resonance.
Yeah, so the higher level blood test, the higher level blood test was the NMR lipo profile, and that's a test that would tell you if your LDL and HDL particles are large and fluffy or if they're small and dense. And from what I understood back then, the small dense particles are the ones that do damage inside your blood vessels. And it sounds like they're using this test that you're talking about looks at those small dense particles and they correlate that to a level of inflammation in the body.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah. So I think what people don't understand is that everybody who works a job, probably pays for insurance through their company or their company pays for their insurance. and then you can get all this stuff done for free at a regular doctor. But if you want the tests and the treatments and stuff like that that actually work, that get to the root cause, it's probably not going to be covered by insurance. But honestly, a lot of these tests are cheap. I mean, the NMR lipo profile that I took, I mean, it was like 20 or 30, 40 bucks, something like that. Not expensive.
Yeah, I mean, you can get this MVX Plus. I can get this order for you for 130 bucks. So it's absolutely worth its weight in gold because this test is different. It's a heads up system.
Mm-hmm.
It's built to flag the risks before you're knee deep in something like diabetes or heart disease or worse.
Yeah, right.
All those other tests are going to show you, oh, you've already got this going on. This one's going to give you a heads up, like this is what's developing.
Yeah, right. No, the whole medical system is based on, letting symptoms develop, telling you that you're fine until you have major symptoms developing, and then give you a pill that masks a symptom. And oh, by the way, you still have the root cause, and now you're developing a new root cause due to this medication that they're giving you.
Right.
So yeah, people need to start devoting time and financial resources to the true things that will make them healthy. Because otherwise you start going down this loophole where your life, I mean, they might have pills or procedures or something like that make you live longer in years, but those back end years are going to start being painful because your body is degrading.
Yeah, and the interesting thing too is like once you have two different medications inside your body, there's not a doctor in the world that knows how they're interacting with your body.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that is for sure. No studies are done for these drug interactions.
Yeah, and you have, when you open up the insert, it's all these different side effects because they have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
So,
and it's hard. And how do you do tests on people of a certain age bracket, especially the elderly generation? How do you do a study on those people to test the effects of one drug when they're already taking 10 drugs?
right.
So yeah, it's not really something that can be studied.
Yep.
So interesting.
Yeah, so I mean, I think the message is, if you're starting to not feel well or you are feeling well and you don't want to get to the point where you're not feeling well, take a look under the hood. This new MVX Plus test is a phenomenal test to give you that information to know whether you need to start taking things serious or if you're doing well.
Yeah, and not only for yourselves. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that have kids that have. I mean, my kids are young age, and so we're starting to see it with their peers and whatnot. Of kids who have, either, I don't want to call them development disorders, but like attention disorders. There's a lot of kids that have attention disorders, so they're given a label, whether it's ADD or ADHD or whatever, and a lot of times they're given some kind of drug. And what a lot of parents find is that when they start giving them the drug, their kids change. It's like dealing with a different person. I know a lot of people that their wives also.
Yep. Keep going.
I know a lot of people that have wives or loved ones or something like that start taking antidepressants, and they'll tell you it's like ever since they started taking that drug, it's like a different person. But getting back,
chemistry.
Yeah, right. So, but getting back to kids, like if you have kids that have an attention disorder, like you need to recognize that is likely an issue that is highly influenced by their diet, and a lot of people are feeding themselves and their kids terribly. So all the stuff that we've been talking about in our podcast about sugar and what that does to your neurotransmitters and all your blood sugar and your energy and all that stuff, those same topics apply to your kids. And so if your kids are already showing a chronic symptom like these attention disorders, what is waiting for them, possibly in their 20s and early 30s, if they continue eating the way that they are right now? They're going to get to these diseases. These diseases are going to start cropping up even faster. So people need to not just do it for themselves, but for their kids that they're raising.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. So here, I'll clap so I can edit this out. What other direction did you want to take this? Anything else on your mind?
No, I mean, I think that's pretty good. I can let people know that I'm going to have an article about the MVX Plus test on the website, and if they'd like to order the test, I can do that for them.
Okay. All right. Why don't you talk about that test and just throwing a line or two about what else you're going to have, what other kind of documents you're going to have on your website, or talk about them like they're already there, because by the time we get this podcast launched, it probably will be.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, so I mean, kind of to wrap things up, Carl, we were wanting to make this podcast today because we wanted to encourage people that there is help out there if they're not feeling, they're not feeling good, they're not sleeping well. A lot of people get kind of disenchanted with the medical system, but there is help out there. This new MVX Plus test is phenomenal. It's a good way to look under the hood. I can help you get this test if you're looking for that. You can go to my website at modernhealthinstitute.com. You can email me at drg@modernhealthinstitute.com if you'd like. I'm going to have an article about this up on the website probably this week. And I also have some other articles up there about how these toxins inside your body can create insulin resistance and cellular receptor problems. That's going to translate into hormones and nutrition and all kinds of things, how infections can do the same thing. And so there's going to be a lot of information that we'll have on the website too that can help you understand some of these things that we've been talking about a little more clearly if you need that. But what do you think, Carl?
Yeah, definitely. You're going to have that on your website, which is awesome. Like it's one of the reasons that we started this podcast was because we wanted to get a lot of this information that people don't know out there. So like you're a practitioner. I'm not. So on my podcast or on my website, truthandjalapenos.com or truthandj.com. But on my website, I publish stuff that helps people when they're just, noticing these symptoms, whether they're tired or, they can't sleep or whatever. A lot of the stuff on my website can really help with that. I have a lot of guides, how to get great sleep. Why am I always tired? Digestion stuff, constipation stuff, how to feed your kids right to excel in sports, and how to get husbands and kids to eat more vegetables and stuff like that. So I have a lot of information there to help you. If you catch stuff early, then a lot of times diet can just fix it for you. When you get later to the point where you get an actual diagnosis, then you have to do something a little bit more stringent, and you need a practitioner, and you need somebody like Eric if you're smart. So that's why we thought that we'd be a good pairing to do a podcast. But all this information is available on our websites, and you can contact us. You can get on my website and contact me. You can contact Eric if you want to do some of these tests or any of the programs that he does with his clients and all that stuff, and start getting health. Start making that a priority and start getting healthier so that you're not in pain for the rest of your life.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Eric. This was fun, man.
Yeah, I hope this helped people, and until next time, I guess, huh?
Yeah, definitely. If people want to find our websites, they can go to healthunmasked.co. That's the website for this podcast, and there they can find links to both of our websites. Eric's website is modernhealthinstitute.com, and my website is truthandjalapenos.com or truthandj.com, the letter J, and that'll take you there. But that's how you can get a hold of either of us, and we hope you take us up on it. Okay? All right, man. Talk to you later, Eric.
Yep. See ya.
Yep. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. And once again, if you're interested in any of the programs that we have on our websites, Eric's website is modernhealthinstitute.com. And right now he has his 9-day blood sugar breakthrough program and his inflammation reset program. And if you go to my website, which is truthandjalapenos.com, or you can go to truthandj.com because jalapenos is a hard to spell word, but truthandj.com, where you can find a 30-day gut health reset program and a new program that's 21 days to calm, happy, and agreeable kids. So if you have little kids or teenagers that you would like to fight less with, or you would like to improve their behavior, that's what this program is meant for. So that is at truthandjalapenos.com or truthandj.com. All right, thanks for listening, everybody. Have a great one.